Welcome to the Brian Wright Audio Experience, a podcast dedicated to helping entrepreneurs grow their business, make more money, and successfully navigate through the chaos of life, all while working, spending, and stressing less. And now your host. He's a husband, a father of two, an international business and life coach, and a trusted motivational speaker for some of the most respected companies in the world, such as Invisalign and many others. Brian Wright.
Hey, Brian Wright Show Nation. Welcome inside the broadcast booth. Brian Wright here, and welcome into another edition of the Brian Wright Show. I have a huge apology to the whole audience, and I just want to say flat out at the beginning, I am fired. I cannot believe, I am so sorry it has taken me so long to get another episode out. You know, it is for those of you maybe, if you're checking in with the podcast for the first time, I have another podcast, the New Patient Group podcast, and just a kind of an exciting announcement as I do this podcast today. Come out with a third podcast, and it's going to be called the Customer Experience Podcast. And I just want to say I'm really sorry to everybody. I had somebody stop me in Breckenridge. This was now probably a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago. And this girl, she says, "You Brian Wright?" I said, "Yeah, nice to meet you. Who are you?" And she introduced herself. And she said, after we talked for a minute, she didn't yell at me right away, but eventually she's like, "Dude, what's going on? You launched the podcast, you tell us there's going to be episodes, and then you're going months without putting them out." And I just say, like I say to so many of you out there, I'm sorry. Sometimes the whirlwind kicks you in the butt. Obviously, a lot of responsibilities. Being a consultant for Align Technology, the makers of Invisalign, running New Patient Group, running Wright Chat, many other companies as well. And then the podcast, being on stage all over the world. And, I said at the beginning, welcome Brian Wright Show Nation. I'm going to have to maybe change that because we now are getting downloads in 16 different countries, and which is really cool. And just, again, I've said it a million times in this podcast. Props to all of you, the fans out there, the ones who follow me around, see me on stage, getting me to do this. It's a real kick in the butt, and I need it. And sometimes even that kick in the butt can't overcome the whirlwind of just being an entrepreneur and just out there going to get them. So I apologize, everybody. And today we're going to be wrapping up with part 3. We're in a self-discipline series, and while I could do probably 90 episodes around this topic, what we'll do at some point is circle back to the self-discipline and just signs that you struggle with it. If you go back, there is a podcast I did a few podcasts ago, and it's the 4 stages of psychological focus. And if you haven't yet, I suggest you pause this, and I suggest you go back a few episodes, listen to that one, and then go forward from there. And you're going to get more out of each one of these episodes if you understand kind of where we're coming from. And just a quick recap for you, the 4 psychological stages of focus. In the upper right-hand corner, you imagine a plus sign, a cross, whatever you want to call it. In the upper right-hand corner, you have something that's called focus, and it's purposeful focus. And I'm going to get back to that in just a minute. And under purposeful focus, we have distraction. And distraction comes from all angles as we're hit with multiple marketing messages a day. Forbes says it's over 10,000 marketing messages each individual gets hit with every single day. As we get distracted, we become very indecisive. And that is the 3rd stage of psychological focus, is indecision, which is the enemy of progress. And so we did one of these series, I think it was part 1, maybe part 2 was around indecision. And then the 4th stage is becoming detached. And when you're detached from your life, employees, your career, and business owners and CEOs out there, your business, it's one of the worst places you could possibly be, because you start telling yourself a very false story on why the problems really exist. And anyway, so that one's a really good one to listen to, because the premise of that, when you go back to purposeful focus isn't necessarily, according to psychology, it's not how much you're focusing on. While, yes, that needs to be a narrow focus. If you focus on too much, nothing's going to get done. There's all kinds of psychology about that. But the 4 quadrants do not talk about that. The 4 quadrants talk about, if you look at focus, as having a purposeful focus specifically around the things that you can control. And, it's ironic because the more we become detached in our lives and our careers and our businesses, and we create this false narrative, we end up blaming things that have nothing to do with the real problems. And it's a really good one to go back and listen to, because what we're into now is, it takes a lot of self-discipline to focus and remain focused on the things that you can control. Example, you're trying to lose weight. What is the normal thing people focus on? It's the weight scale, right? Now, you have no control over the weight scale. You have no control if you have a fast metabolism, slow metabolism. You have no control over these things. Yet these are the things that we harp on. And when the weight doesn't go in our favor, you could be somebody that's trying to put on weight. You could be somebody, like most people, trying to take off weight. When it doesn't go in our favor, what do? Detached, we say it's not working because of slow metabolism. It's not working because of this. It didn't work because of the diet plan, right? We start creating this false narrative when in reality, it didn't work because we're not focused on the right things. If you want to be successful, you have to focus and track the things that you can control. Calories, minutes in the gym, how much weight time, how many weights you're lifting, cardio burn, all of these things. That's what you can control. And if that's the obsessed focus, yes, eventually the weight scale, the things you can't control, have to go in your favor to keep you motivated. But what keeps you motivated, if you're disciplined and you're focusing on what you can control, is the peace of mind knowing you're doing everything in your power to kick ass around the things that you can control, right? If the weight isn't coming off, that means I need to lift weights for another 10 minutes a day. If the weight isn't coming off, I need to do cardio for another 10 minutes every other day, whatever that may be, right? If the weight isn't coming off, I need to reduce calories another X amount every single day. If you're trying to put on weight, I need to add calories, et cetera, you get the point. But this is so difficult for you as entrepreneurs and business owners out there, employees that love the show and follow me as well. It's the same thing. If you want to get more out of your career, you want to earn more money, you have to focus on being great at the things you can control. And let the moochers and, all the people that want to bitch and moan that somebody else makes more money than them and they sit around, they want to protest in the streets. It always cracks me up that people have time to do that, but they don't have time to read a book and prove themselves and go make more money themselves, right? They just want to They just get pissed when you have success, and therefore they want to see you penalized. Just a joke. Society we live in. So we got to overcome it. We got to overcome the moochers together, and you do that by constantly getting better, constantly focusing on the things that you can control. So here's the deal today. Today we're going to be talking about neglecting self-improvement. There's a saying I love, and I've used it for years, and that an education will make you a living. Right. And sometimes it'll make you a damn good living, right? If you get an education and you come out and, my other podcast, the new Patient Group podcast, it's over in orthodontics. So if you're an orthodontist, that education is probably going to make you a pretty good living, whether you're a good business owner or not. And then there's other degrees that really are not going to make you much money at all, but will make you a living. But self-education, the commitment to reading books, the commitment to looking in the mirror when things are going wrong, the commitment to getting better, that will make you rich. And 75% of billionaires, with a B, 75% of billionaires did not go to college or they dropped out. Right. So a lot of you out there, if you're saying I'm not successful because I didn't get to go to college, I don't make enough money because I grew up in poverty, this, and that. That's an example of being detached and letting a false narrative dictate your outcome. You can't let that happen. That you can't let these things happen and take you down when time and time again, there's been people that grew up in poverty, horrible conditions, and they become a millionaire. Horrible conditions, become one of the most influential leaders in our society. Horrible conditions, become a billionaire, right? If they're doing it, stop making excuses. But here's the difference. And so much what we talk about on here, I believe life, career, business, they all intertwine. And they all intertwine because, as a leader, if you're a business owner out there and you're pissed off at your wife at home, you're going to bring that in. It's going to affect your leadership abilities. The people that say leave it at the door don't know a damn thing about humans. Some people are better than others at leaving at the door, but it's still going to affect your performance, whether you want to admit it or not. Employees, what you bring in your personal life, the people you hang out with, if you want to make more money, if you want to become rich, stop hanging out with poor people, right? If you bring baggage into work, it's going to affect your career. You're going to make less money, which is going to affect your life. Business owners out there, you got to think of all this. because those two things are brought up about life and career affect the business. And the business affects your personal life. Business isn't going well. You're pissed off at work. You bring that home, and you piss your husband off. Piss your husband off if you're, a female entrepreneur out there. Same way employees. You've seen it. Grumpy at work, don't like one of your employees, bring home, piss off your husband. It's that kind of stuff. And this disregard to ongoing self-improvement, it's the number one marketing investment you'll ever make. But rarely do business owners block time in their businesses. Rarely do we block time in our lives to make these things work. I have a thing at the house, and it's one of the things I teach every business that hires me. And depending on your size, this time differs, but the average is about an hour a week blocked to meet with your team, practice your skill sets, work on your playbook, get better for the customer, get better for yourselves, and amazing things happen from it. Restaurants, the dessert and wine sales and the specials for the evening sales go crazy. Why? Well, you're actually training your waiters how to sell. Instead of worrying about advertising outside your door, you're blocking time for self-improvement. And as you do that, your customer experience shoots through the roof because, as you know, I teach it all over the world, experience drives sales. Experience drives customers. Experience drives loyalty. Experience drives repeat buying at a far higher level than the quality of your service or product, as proven by about 1,000 stats you can go find online. Experience drives sales. Experience also motivates employees to go the extra mile for you as a business owner. But see, so many times we tell ourselves, we don't have time for that. Like, how do I block an hour, Brian? That's when tables come and sit. How do I block an hour, Brian? That's when I need to see patients. How do I block an hour, Brian? Like, that's time I could have squeezed in another consult at my law firm, right? This is the normal mentality. Yet you're out doing just bullshit, waste of money, pay-per-click ads. You're doing all kinds of advertising and you're spending money all over the place, but you neglect the number one marketing investment, as proven by every famous company on this planet over and over again, time and time again, is self-improvement. Is building a better culture internally as an organization, training your team in a very unique way to deliver an experience to the customer that is unexpected. Creating digital marketing most of you listening out there, go look at your YouTube station, business owners out there, employees, go look for a business you work for, go look at it. It's trash. There's nothing on it, right? YouTube is the new Google. How in the hell could you not be doing a new YouTube video every week? Well, we don't have time. Well, you would if you blocked it. Well, how can I afford that? That's when we make money. No, you lose money all day long via lost opportunities because you don't block time to get on the same page. Teach your team how to handle customers. Teach your team how to sell new customers. Deliver a better experience, etc. One of the best bonuses you could ever implement into your organization is every 2 or 3 months, make your employees read a new book, write a book review, and present it in front of your whole team. Like, that is one of the best self-educations you could possibly do to develop your team. What do the best sports organizations do? Michigan, as I do this podcast today, Michigan coming off a national championship, they hardly had any 5-star recruits, and they weren't, I don't think, in the top 30 in any of the recruiting classes when Harbaugh was there. So why so good? Why they win the national championship? Well, culture was amazing. Well, they trained their people. They developed the skill sets. It was amazing, right? They didn't go out and, try to find more 5-star recruits or do this or that. No, they looked within. The best marketing for your businesses out there is within. You have thousands upon thousands of leaky holes all over the place. Unfortunately, a lot of you don't feel. Somebody calls your organization, you don't answer the phone. Somebody calls with a complaint. Betty, your front desk girl, pisses them off because she doesn't handle it right. Like, these are all the things that happen all day to all of you in every business, every industry out there. But your data sheets, when you print them out, don't show any of them. And one of the reasons this is such an opportunity is over 90% of consumers, according to Harrison Interactive's latest global study, will choose and remain with a business because of the quality of their experience over whether or not they're good at what they do. Right? So that stat is telling you you're better off having a great experience and being shit at your product than be having the best product and suck at experience. This is the flip. And the reason why it provides such a unique opportunity is no matter how many times you talk to people about this is why we have a very niche underground following. Yeah, when I speak on stage, we pack the house. Yes, when I'm through airports, occasionally I get stopped. And I love it because I love knowing I'm having impact on your lives out there. But even with all of that, our following is extremely itsy bitsy to a lot of the well-known motivational speakers out there. And I'm fine with it. Because what we're teaching, no matter how many times you say the data, that internal marketing always outproduces anything you do outside your doors. Working on your culture always outproduces anything else you do. Training your team in a unique way on how to sell via offering a better experience. Restaurants, lawyers, plumbers, gardeners, day spas, dentists, plastic surgeons, orthodontists, consultants, realtors. It goes on and 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 on. No matter how many times you talk to them about it, 99% of people will go back and do the same shit. And then wonder why they're not where they are or want to be in life, their career, and how their business is. Create a better culture by being a better leader. Train your team uniquely on hospitality, verbiage, presentation, psychology, meaning knowing what to say, how to say it, and knowing when to say it, why to say it. The list goes on and on. You do that, my business will kick your ass every single time. No matter how much money you dump into advertising, I will create such a loyal following from the people that are my customers that you will never be able to catch up. And I will be doing it without advertising. I'm going to constantly reinvest in my customer, constantly reinvest in my employees, constantly reinvesting in my product or service, constantly reinvesting in teaching myself how to be a better leader, to create a better culture, to deliver a better employee experience, which delivers a better customer experience. And just that customer goes out and refers when the other wouldn't. You create a sales force, your customers become your advertising. But all of that comes back to self-improvement, self-education. It's the same way in your marriages out there. You know, are you reading, I was talking about earlier, that hour weekly block? And I do it for my family. Why do I do it? Because that's our time to communicate, discuss problems, overcome things, make sure that the kids feel safe telling us anything. They don't have to hide anything. Right? It's kind of our culture building series, if you will. And it works fantastic. That's why it works fantastic in business. Because your business is your family. A lot of times you spend more time with your employees. You spend more time with the leadership team than you do all with your own families. But you, just like focusing with a purpose and focusing on what you can control blocking your schedule. You can control making your people role play, how to present desserts, the specials for the evening, how to present money in an orthodontic practice, how to present money at the auto dealership, how you discuss the cars, how you discuss all kinds of stuff, depending on what type of business you are. The same stuff applies for all of you. Self-improvement wins. And I can ask most of the listeners out there, obviously not the ones that have hired me and you're listening, but the ones out there that are sitting around there going, okay, when's the last time you trained your receptionist? Trained my receptionist on what, Brian? Well, don't they handle calls? Yeah. So when's the last time you trained them how to handle those calls, the new prospective customers? How to edify, how to overcome things, how to provide an experience that caller's never had on the phone before. How often do you train them how to handle your existing customers in case there's a complaint or an objection or something? The answer for most of you is never. That right there is a multi-million-dollar loss in your career for your business, period. The phones are the largest lost opportunity. There will be plenty of podcasts about this. The phones are the largest lost opportunity cost for any small business. You all can relate to calling multiple places in your lives that didn't pick up the phone in the middle of business hours, fully staffed. You said, screw it, called someone else and bought from them. You've all experienced it. So why the hell do you think that's not happening to you? It is happening to you. How do you fix it? You self-educate yourself and figure it out. Run it different. Have a better, more streamlined experience when people walk in. It's not about hiring more people. It's about doing things different. The point is, if you don't self-educate, if you don't read, if you don't change, if you don't listen to podcasts, if you don't follow people on stage, you're never going to get there. Employees, same way. If you don't commit to change, If you know that the business owner, and this is our society's just a joke with this socialism crap that we live in, the business owner doesn't owe you squat. Now, as a business owner, you should want to develop your team. You should want to get to know them. You should want to make them feel safe. You should lead them. You should build a better culture. Hopefully that's what you're doing. That's what you should be doing. But employees, just showing up and working there doesn't demand a raise. What gets you a raise is coming to your boss and saying, look, Joe, I really wanted to get better on a skill set. I've read this book. I wanted to let you know. Right, it's about hospitality. I really feel after I read this, I'm really going to be able to deliver our customers a better experience. Boom. That's how you get a raise. Self-improvement. And by the way, that's what's going to make you way more money in your career than you otherwise would be paid. Because for most of you out there, there's a standard rate. Like you're going to max out in your career. If you didn't go to college, now you're an hourly paid employee, whatever it is, there's only so much you'll make unless you self-educate. But you must have the discipline to do it. Otherwise, it'll never happen. I hope everybody liked this today. This is something obviously we're so passionate about because these kind of things, self-discipline in itself is it's just an underrated marketing tool. Self-discipline to have the accountability, the focus, the repetition, all the things that make an athlete great, make a business and an employee and a business owner great. No difference. I hope everybody enjoyed this series around self-discipline. We're going to wrap it up and start a new series and start diving into some other stuff. I love you all out there. Again, I apologize. It took so long to get this next podcast up, and I'm going to do my best to put them out more frequently, but there is a whirlwind out there, so I'm doing everything I can. The New Patient Group podcast, remember everybody, if you go and listen to it, no matter what industry you're in, I'm talking to orthodontists and other doctors who own their own business, but I'm talking business on there and entrepreneur and sales and marketing and all the stuff, customer service, all the stuff. You just have to use your imagination a little bit on how it applies to your business. So check that podcast out as well. Right now, as I do this podcast, we're in season 7 over there. If you're watching this on YouTube, thumb it up, share it with your friends and colleagues, make some comments, get some dialogue going, and would really appreciate you all writing a 5-star review for me on the audio experience channel that you're listening to, iTunes, whatever it may be. We'll be back with another one soon. Bye, everybody.